Yeah, I really like the blocking that you did. It's nice, soft colors. So once again, guys, one of the things we were talking about is doing some nice, soft colors and like soft pastel colors. So when you look up here, and if we come over here and we grab and we click, you can see some of these colors. They're really nice. They're soft. Oh God. Okay, give me a second. My Photoshop is not working. See it?
Yeah.
I was just using it this morning. Give me 1 minute. Let me restart. Okay.
Okay.
So, and then I have the files here. So I will just drag them back in. And let me see. All right. Let's try it again. You know, I didn't purchase Clip when it was just on sale. And now I'm thinking I should have done that. I'm going to talk to Frank. I've been having so many ridiculous problems with Photoshop lately. I can't stand it. Does anyone else have problems with it? Or is it just me?
Yeah, me too. It
I have
crashed
just
last week.
constant problems. Just on my Macintosh, Photoshop, every time I close it and reopen it, it opens a file with it that I saved like a year and a half ago. And it just opens it no matter what. It's so buggy. I can't figure out what's going on. So hold on a minute. Let's go back to where your piece was. There it is. Okay. Awesome. So now, hopefully, if I come over here and let's grab the color picker and I grab, voila, now I can get the color focus. Okay, that's perfect. So what you're doing here, it's really nice, Leonie. You have this nice, soft little pastel range that's up here. That's what we want to have in the back. And then you have some items closer to you that are getting a little bit richer. They're getting a little bit darker. That's absolutely perfect. And you still have room where you can even get some nice textures on there, some other elements. So it's a nice block and it's working really good. A couple recommendations that I might give you. I might draw and design a couple ideas for clumps of like bushes and trees and forests.
I
Okay.
will. I will.
Because like back here, it gets a little like empty-ish sort of in the back. So that would be a huge advantage for you. And actually, let me mention this. This is something else that you could do is if you take this tree that's here in the foreground and you can have it be a little bit larger. You can have it be like this and a little bit more flowing, let's say like that.
Yeah, it looks better.
If you get that a little larger and across the screen, then you can get some back here that are smaller, that are matching in part of the scale like that. So that's a great way to fill some of that space. That is the transition of scale, having that height relationship taller and then having it get a little bit smaller in the back. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, so I would recommend that. And I noticed over here too, try to avoid your trees look very similar, like they're bending. So what I would do is, have one that has a nice curve to it like there. Then you might have one over here that has maybe a slightly different bend to it. Then you might have one in here that's just a little bit like that. Stack them up like that. And I think you'll find that really starting to work quite well. Okay. And then just one other comment, watch the tangencies for the shore line hits the rocks right there. You could probably get away with either moving the rocks down a little bit or just get a little bit more blue on top right in there. So it's not quite, turning that into a solid tangency line. Okay.
Okay.
Like
I
that.
still work on the tree too. I'm still explore the tree and
sure.
everything.
Sure, no problem. This is coming together very nice. Now, I want to point out one last thing, which is more of like it's a perspective issue I want to bring to your attention really quick. Okay, with your drawing here, the way it's looking right now, your horizon line is probably about right there in the peaks. Okay, probably about right there in it, and it could even be maybe a teeny bit lower, about right there, which is fine. So the reason I want to point that out is that if you have a vanishing point, so you have some angles to the house that are a little over the place. For example, this is bringing us up here to a vanishing point, and the vanishing point wouldn't be up that high. So what I would suggest doing, what I think would look really cool, is if you were to put a slight tilt on this house and have a vanishing point going this way, okay, then introduce another point probably about there. you would be able to then see the side of this structure. This would go up, it would come down, and that would come up, it would come out. And then we would have this converging that way. We would see the side of the house. By seeing the side of the house like this, it's going to add a little bit more foundation to it, because we have a left side and a right side to paint now. So then when you get up here, bring this back down, bring that across like that, back to that vanishing point, get that locked in. And then since it's going to have a very light, and by the way, that angle is already matching right here to that vanishing point, so is that. So then when you come up here, treat this like a wedge. This overhang is going to come outward like this. It'll flat out like that. And then we'll be able to see it mount. This would pretty much go to like the vanishing point, like right here, and we'll see it mount in the side of the house. Okay. So the other thing too is this part of the chimney was also going upward like that. So this was implying that your horizon line was really, really up here high. So, and when your horizon line, this angle would be a little lower. So when you get up here, you'll be looking, oops, sorry, my ruler slipped. And back up there. You're going to be looking slightly underneath that vent like this. Okay. So just get those little angles fixed. Throw a point like right in here. Have the other point go off the page. And I think that'll work really well. And the reason why I wanted the other point to be about here is then if our eye goes back to here, having a shoreline like this that you have in here brings us back into the piece very effectively and efficiently. Okay. All right, so just nail down the house a little bit. I know you're still working on the trees, and then we'll take a look at it for next Thursday's class, okay?
Okay, thank you,
Cool.
Phil.
All right, thank you very much. Good work, it's fantastic. Okay, very nicely done. All right, next over here, we got Naomi. Here, that's what choice says.
That's me.
Yeah, that's me, or here, or present, right? One of those. So, all right. Now, did this come out darker on my computer?
I think it did.
I think it did too, because I'm looking at it and I'm like, oops, that's not that selection. We should be somewhere in the neighborhood of about there, right?
Maybe a little bit darker.
A little bit darker like there. Okay, well, what I would recommend is I would bring it up, and we need to separate the values just a teeny bit, okay? So let me show you how I would do that. Okay, so watch. If I can probably pull most of this off with the selection tool because you have such nice little areas here. So hold on, let me go back. Give me a second. I'm going to select and make some selections that might be a little bit better. So what I'm going to do first is let me duplicate this layer and put it up on top so we can look at the difference between them. Okay, so first thing I would do is I would definitely, it's a little rich. I would lighten it up a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch it up to about, I'd say right about there. Okay. Then with that done, real quick, I'm going to come up here and select your foreground. Uh-oh. Oh, duh. I hit the minus instead of the plus. My bad. Fix that right now. Got them all squiggly. There. Okay. So I would bring this up a little bit darker then. So it's in the foreground a little bit more like that. And then Eric, did you get any news yet?
About what?
Cal State and the scholarship.
Oh, nothing yet. I think they make a decision in like June or something.
Oh, really?
Takes
Okay,
a while. Yeah.
cool.
I did get my vaccine though.
Which one?
The first shot of the Moderna.
Ooh, you got the one I got.
Yeah.
How long's it
Did
been?
your
How
arm
many
feel
days?
you? It's been like 3 days. I got on Saturday.
Yeah, does it feel like a baby's growing in your arm?
It was. It felt like someone hit me in the shoulder with a baseball bat for
Yeah,
a day.
right? It totally does.
Yeah.
I'm in pretty good shape. I mean, my deltoids are pretty good because I do a lot of dirt bike riding. And even when I got the shot, the nurse goes, "Oh, this won't hurt you. Look at your deltoids are pretty thick, right?" Dude, 3 days later, I was like, "Ow, who hit me with a bat?"
Yeah.
You know, it really hits you like hard. So on the second one, be a little careful because when you get the second one,
Mhm.
it's going to hit you. When it hits you, you just like, oh my God, I feel tired. And then I felt sleepy. And then I think might have told you guys this or another class. I took a long nap and then I woke up and then all of a sudden, about 5 hours into it later. So I got it at 9 in the morning, or excuse me, 8:30 in the morning at Disneyland at the convention center. So by about 4 p.m., I just got this urge. I'm like, I want to pick up something heavy. So I went in the backyard and I just started like moving firewood around and shifting and cleaning. And then I was great. I felt fine. So, but I was totally knocked out for about 6 hours. I was just tired and just out of it. So that'll happen to you. So be ready to not do anything. Don't plan to do any homework. Just be ready to crash and sleep for a while. Okay.
I never plan to do anything, so that works out well for me.
Good. I think you'll be happy with that.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. My wife got it too, so we're
Oh, good for you, dude.
looking up.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. That's really, really cool. It's really an important thing to get done. It's funny. I was having a conversation with a couple of my students who are anti-vaxxers, and I was like, you guys need to realize that being an anti-vaxxer came about because of something bad that happened in the 70s where some doctor prescribed this medication that was for something, and it ended up making fetuses lose an arm or a limb. And then after that, it got branded like, oh, vaccinations are bad. Okay, we've come a long way since the 60s.
Yeah.
And they test things pretty well, and they look for side effects. And the only real side effect I've heard, which is that European one they're using in England, which they've now stopped, was causing blood clots in people. There was some weird side effect if you had like rich blood and you had high triglycerides and you had thick blood, that it would cause them to clot very quickly. So that was happening. Okay.
I'm glad to get it. I'm glad to get it over with, though. It's nice.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you got it done. You're going to feel so much better, and it feels good. All right.
Yeah.
And all of you guys should try to get it because it's just going to help you. And I don't know. I have this positive outlook that like more people are getting it now than people that have it. So that's good. The cases should start to go down. We go back to a normal life. Good, Mark, you got yours too. However, the only thing I'm worried about is, did you guys see what spring break was looking like the past week?
Yeah, it's crazy in Florida.
Yeah, in Florida it was like, and it's still going for another 2-3 weeks because you have different colleges, right? People are all hanging out, drinking, partying. They're smoking weed, they're smoking cigarettes, they're just all partying together. And I'm just like, dude, no one's wearing a mask. Like nobody is. And most of the people they interview, they're like, if you've gotten a vaccination, they're all like, no, not yet, bro. And I'm like, okay, so that means there's a chance of the cases jumping back up. So I'm mentioning that because we have spring break. Yes. Question? Naomi?
Huh?
Oh, did you say something?
I did not.
Oh, I thought you said something real quick. No, because we have spring break coming up this next week. So I just want to mention that to you guys. If you go out and do something, please wear a mask because it's still transmittable. And even with the vaccine, it's much lighter percentage, but you can still get it, All right, so don't forget about that. All right, Naomi, you see what I did here?
I did.
The
Yeah.
difference. So even if I came in here and even if I lightened the original up and brought it to about where you were, my main concern was the mountains.
Mhm.
So I wanted to lighten the mountains and darken the foreground a teeny bit. It's going to create that depth. So if you bring up, and this would be for everybody too, notice the color change. This will be in that lower quadrant area towards black. This will be in that same lower area. It's almost the same color. Same with this, it'll be in that lower area right there. And then watch that circle now. Now when we go up here, it's going to jump up. That's perfect. We want it to be in that middle for the mid-ground. Then when we get back here, boom, that should jump up to the lighter, closer to the white. This is going to be a little bit more towards the middle there still, but still it's a little bit closer. This could easily go a little bit more in that direction to get a little bit lighter. So I could still adjust that maybe a little bit more. And then the sky is great because you're really close there. So that's really, really going to help you, because once you dive into that and you have those values set up really right, it's going to be easy for you to come in and then basically, hold on, I'll just do it really quick. It's going to be, hold on, let me get the right brush.
Yeah, I wanted to stage this like maybe sunrise or like sunset. So I was wondering how the values I guess would change.
Sure. Well, see, now it's going to be a whole lot easier for you to get in here. And then when you want to indicate that like sunlight is coming and hitting this, number one, you can lighten this up. Hold on a minute. Wait a minute, I'm on the wrong layer. There we go. And you're going to be able to lighten up. See, if I go like that, that instantly is going to make it look like there's light hitting that front just by lightening it. And then once you, oops, hold on, keep hitting the wrong buttons, my bad. Redo levels, there it goes, deselect. So then once you get that in there, and then if we come in here and you get a little bit of a shadow casting off some of this, and it's funny with the shadow because this is how easy it could be. If you guys want to keep working on the same layer, you can go to levels and you can darken the value of where the shadow would be, number one. Then what you do is you go to balance, Control B, and then you come up here and you select the shadow area, and then you put a little bit more blue into it like that. See that? And then it'll give you that effect where it's like you've darkened it because it is shadow, but then it also will have the blue on there too. So look at how quickly that change happened. Look at how it pops immediately. I haven't even gone in and put highlights yet. I just quickly adjusted those values in there. So then if you come in here and you do the same thing, come into a part of like this, you get some cool like highlights around here, maybe a little couple behind it like this. And if we come in here, we can do that same thing. We go to levels real quick. We're going to lighten it because they're getting hit. And then we're going to come back over, go to color balance real quick. And we're going to go to touch highlights and then go to yellow and see we put a little bit of bright yellow in there like that. And if I deselect it, look at how easy that pops out. Okay. And then if you don't like those hard edges, what you can do is then you can come back in with the smudge brushes I gave you, and you can take that smudge brush here. Let me do it really quick. So
just like blend them in. Exactly.
So you can get rid of that hard edge. So now you can come back, you can take Mr. Smudge Brush here. And what I could do is just come back. I'm going to put it right now at like 0.5. So it's very light. Look, I'm just lightly going across it, and it's going to blend that little highlight in the ground a little bit and make it a lot softer and a lot more readable. And you'll look at that and you'll be like, whoa, that was pretty cool. See how well that starts to work all of a sudden? And we don't even have any cool textures or other little elements in there. So this was sort of that direction that's going to lead you to get there. But having those values really set up nicely will be quite wonderful. Now, what I would recommend for you to do, let me see if I can pull this up on the internet. What was the time of day that you wanted again?
Maybe like early morning or like early evening, like sunset.
Okay, so hold on one second. Let me show you this. You can type in. So if you were to go type in early morning color scheme on Google, this is what you want right here. Bam. Someone's already done this. And you see that? They're going to have this collection of oranges in here that you want to use. And here's another example where they have some of these, see, you have this nice transition of the orange and the yellow in there. So early morning is going to tend to be this sort of bright yellow into orangish feel. And what's really cool is that there are people that have arranged these sort of color scheme palettes that can help guide you a little bit on what sort of transitioning is happening. Okay, so that's one resource. The other resource.
Yeah, I totally forgot that you could just get like color palettes from the
Yeah, I
internet.
mean, it's just so crazy. So if you were to type in color palette early morning on Pinterest, it's just going to be phenomenal too. You'll also have some really great choices. I like it. Sometimes I don't need the photo. I like seeing stuff like this, where I can see a couple of the color options that I want to use in there. So it'll give you like the yellows and the, especially early morning, you have yellow to yellow orange. So what I would highly recommend for you to do, in fact, everyone should do this in this class. So that'll help you
You know
out
what else
quite a
you
bit.
can do too, Phil?
What?
I know Photoshop, I think Photoshop has the same feature, but I know on Procreate, if you open your photo app and Procreate at the same time, you can drag photos into the color palette and it'll generate color palettes out of it. So
You know
like,
what?
if I find a,
There used to be a way to do that in Photoshop and I forgot how to do it.
yeah,
Someone
I feel like I
showed
did
me
it
that
years
once, how you could grab an image of like a photo you like or someone's painting and you bring it in and then you tell it to generate. There used to be a plugin for Photoshop and then it disappeared and I don't know how to do it anymore. What it'll
I
do,
think I remember using a website for it, but I don't know.
yeah, I'll have to look into that because there's got to be something out there. What it does, Naomi, is it generates all the colors in that painting and puts them in a little square pack like this. So under, I don't have it up right now, but if I had my swatches, let me bring up that window really quick in Photoshop. So if I were to bring up swatches right here, but that's limited swatches. Also, you could have, it'll bring up like, it'll swatch the whole entire painting for you, which is great. It's just, because then you have all the colors in it. There's so much you can use, you know? So actually, these aren't too bad either. These aren't that great, but you know what? Looking into this, now I want to, I'll bet you could also do some search. These are standard in Photoshop here. I bet you could search color swatch packs in Photoshop and then you could upload them. Because look, it has an option right here to upload them, to create a new group. So, or to add them in. Look right here, I can add, learn more about libraries. Let's go check it out. See what Adobe has for us, right? Uh-oh, I'm clicking it. I don't know where it's going. Anyway, so there's all kinds of goodness that you can do, but these aren't bad. You have some really soft in there. What's cool about these is if you grab that color and we pull up the color picker, it's going to put you in that family up here in this upper left family. These are very nice soft pastels that are quite great, already done. And what's cool, I noticed in here on the dark, look, yeah, that's your foreground colors right there. And then colors in the middle would be that sort of mid-ground terrain that would come together quite nicely. Okay. All right, cool. All right. So hopefully all that made sense. Look how nice that piece is going to be. It's going to be super fantastic. It's going to be very cool.
I
Okay?
agree.
All right, keep plugging away. Good work. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Phil.
Phil,
My pleasure. Yeah.
are you intending for us to go? Should we be aiming to go lineless, or like keep line, hide line?
If you end up going lineless, like the demo that I did the other day of the trees and stuff, it will have a better feel and approach to it.
Okay.
But what you have to do is you have to sort of what Naomi was doing. She was having everything blocked in. Then you have to start to lose all the line. And the secret is hold on, I just closed Naomi's and I should have saved it. Let me bring it back open really quick.
Ooh, you should have seen how many layers that I used.
Oh, did you really? You shouldn't have that many, right? But no, I get it. Students,
Don't talk to me or my 14 layers ever again.
yeah, everything got 14 layers. Yeah. So what I was going to show on Naomi's one of the secrets, and I'll just explain this right now. One of the secrets of this is when you lose the line, is that we want you to pretty much render out very nicely the house area right there. So you see how I started focusing on the house real quick, Alex? The house is the focal point. So what I mean by rendering it out, I'm going to zoom in here and I'm just going to do it real quick with red, and then I'll indicate with blue, which would be shadows. So imagine on here, red being highlights and then blue being shadows, right? So what the shadow here that would cast probably about right there would be pretty cool. And then part of the shadow might cast a little bit like there from the light. We'll do the reflection after that. Okay, then once she has that, you're going to have little things like you're going to have gradient shadows coming along here, coming along there. You'd have shadow up in here. And then if we zoom in even a little bit closer, let me go back and look where she should have. So I was turning the values by having light against dark, which is fine. But then you'll get little highlights like on the edge here, on the window seal. Maybe there's wood trim on the house like this. We'd have edge there. Maybe she puts in a couple little elements. You could put in a couple little cobblestones that go to the front of this. She could raise the tips of these up like that. So those all get little highlights on it. So all these little highlights will come together. Even what she could even do is over here, she could even extend the land a little bit like this. And then she could even put like a little teeny fence sort of going around the property a little bit like that. So it feels sort of locked in. So all of those elements, that bright yellow orange morning light, will have these eventually little highlights all up in here and here. And then we'll have little shadows, 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 shadows. This will be the biggest area to be rendered only. Everything else should be graphic and be secondary to this. Okay? Does that make sense a little bit? Yeah. So that's why I picked this assignment. You want the house to really pop out, the details, the wood, the roof, the textures, all of that stuff that comes together. That has to be the primary focal point of the piece. Don't go in and start rendering every single thing on the tree. You don't want to do that. That'll kill it. The focal point will be this. That's primary read number one. And then everything else around it will be secondary. All this other stuff over here and here will be tertiary, third reads. Okay. I hope that Phil's paint by number system sort of makes sense, but it will when we get there. Okay, cool. All right. Next over here, we were jumping in Connie. Gorgeous houses. Love it. Is Connie with us today? Connie. No Connie. Okay, maybe she's not, maybe she couldn't make it. Well, anyway, Connie, I hope you were well and everything is okay. Connie, if everything's not okay and you're busy, let me know. I'd be more than happy to meet with you anytime. You're such a productive student and you've done such wonderful work in my classes. I love having you. Connie, I love these designs. They look great. The house designs are really killer. Let's give Connie a little vote, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. What do you think's the best? Silhouette wise.
Yeah, I like 6.
I like 6
agree.
a lot. I would like 4 if it was turned at 2 point. And there's a simplicity in 5 that also works very well to me too. So I'm gonna go 4, 5, 6 across the board. 4 slightly turned. 6 is already turned. That's why it's so powerful. We can see it and it's like, bam, it's there. And there's, what I like about 6 is she's going to have a lot of planes to paint. So if you think about it, you're going to be able to have light side. Oh, excuse me. Let me do it in red. You're going to be able to have a light side, dark side, light side, dark side, light, dark. So you have all those planes that are going to be able to turn the shape and form and indicate and support the direction of the light coming towards it. Okay. That's quite wonderful. So it's outstanding, Connie. As far as compositions, let's see here, guys. Let's take a vote for Connie too. I'll label these going across. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, and 8 right here. All right. Number 1, Connie, eventually, I love your compositions, but I would maybe make them a little bit more wider and panoramic. This tends to be that nice look of development art. And the great thing about it is if I did that, check this out. I could easily come in here and take all this goodness that you have. In fact, I'll just grab all of this right here and there. And if I flip that and bring it over to the other side, and then if I transform it and squash it in there, oops, a little bit like that. You see how nice that stages it just by making it a teeny bit wider? It looks really good having that on the other side of it. So so looking at these, you could already tell my favorites would be, we're all commenting, and sorry, I zoomed in real quick. I like number 1 quite a bit. There's a simplicity to number 1 that works. I also like coming across here. I'm a fan of number 3. I like the foreground elements. In fact, I like them so much, I'm going to steal them because I'm going to make, how about we put them into 8 and then we make a super piece. So I come back to 8 because those foreground elements, if I bring that up on top here, we transform them. Let's flip them. Actually, let me put them here in the foreground a little bit more, but let me bring them down a little bit more like that. That'd be a really nice element there. And then I'm going to select all, paste those. I'm going to bring them back over, transform. Let's flip it in the other direction. And I'm going to sort of maybe put them here, but then I want to definitely squash them over a little bit more like that. Okay. So I love anytime you stack stuff on top of other stuff and do that, I think it's going to have a great outcome. It creates more overlay. So I'm sort of becoming a fan of number 8 now because I really like this, what I call this sort of really cool stylized mountain range that's coming down and pointing me back into that house. It reminds me quite a bit of Edgar Payne and some of the mountains that he would do, Connie. So that's why I was sort of liking that one. As far as some of the others, I do like number 1 quite a bit. Some people commented on number 3 was quite nice, okay, as well. So I think my favorites would probably be 1, 3, and 8. I think have really strong compositions, okay? But I would come back and I'm really tempted to incorporate other elements. So for example, let me mess with this piece really quick here. I like this quite a bit. So what I want to do is, hold on, I'm going to take that. Oops. Yep, I know it was empty. That was my fault. Let me copy that. I'm going to delete it real quick. It's in the memory. And then what I'm going to do is paste it up here. I'm going to move it out of the way. Give me 1 second. So I want to widen this piece quite a bit. So let me take your little values here, Connie, and let me just go to 100%. Let me widen this out a little like so. Okay, and then I'm going to widen that guy out a little bit more. And then I want to bring in that tree range a little bit more to about there. So now this is what I was, by widening it even a teeny bit more, and out to about there. Uh-oh. Okay, 1 second. Let me fix that. I just realized I'm painting on this layer. That was my bad. Okay, so now back to this real quick. Give me 1 second, guys, and you'll see where I'm going with this. We widen the composition. Whoa, that's not my eraser. Out a little bit. Then I wanted to take these guys. These are awesome right here, Connie. They really read well. Sorry, guys. There, and if I bring that over here, get that up on the top. Top. Try it again, get up to the top there. There it is. So if I overlap that a little bit like that, then I come back and we take the rocks and put that on top, and then bring the rocks in the foreground like that, and then make them a teeny bit darker. That's really going to do a lot to stack and work in that composition. So then I come back, hold on a minute. Let me get that color a little bit richer there. And then I would reframe it like so, Connie. And then by doing that, what you can do is hold on a minute. Let me grab this house real quick. How many of you guys would be interested in a painting group over the summer?
I do.
I was thinking maybe I could talk to Mike. We can go out and meet and do some plein air painting at a couple spots, and then we can maybe work on another piece like this and just meet once a week. It would be it'd be free, but then I would accept like maybe a $40 or $50 donation that I could apply to easel, and then we could take that money and use it for the models to run easel. And when we get back to school, okay, that was sort of my thought. I was going to talk to Mike about it too and see what he thought. Okay, so what I did right now, guys, I'm going to take this house and I'm going to flip it the other way so it matches the perspective. I'm going to scale, oops, I'm going to scale it down. So I want Connie to see this. There, I think that looks awesome. What do you guys think? That was my idea. The only last thing I would do, Connie, is inside your piece here, I would end up bringing in a shoreline like this. Like that, a nice curved shoreline that could then come towards us and get a little thicker, wrap away. And then that allows you to get some more overlap with some cool rocks. And it's going to allow you to get a really nice reflection of the house itself. In fact, hold on, I shouldn't have drawn on that same layer, but if I grab the house itself and if I move it over just a teeny bit more to the edge of the shoreline, like about right there, that's pretty cool to me. That's a really solid composition. We can see the house, and then you're going to be able to get a really beautiful, nice, squiggly little reflection of that inside your shoreline there, Connie. Okay, what do you guys think between that one and number 8? What do you think?
I love 3 right now. It looks so cool.
Yeah, I'm liking 3 too. And I just took a couple elements that she had from there. I look, those trees are gorgeous right here. They're really stylized. They're fun. Overlap them, put them in the front, then put the rocks in front of those. And then just another, I don't want you guys to ever feel scared to overlap. Overlap is your friend. Overlap should be your buddy that is going to allow you to enhance your composition. It's going to allow you to make things stronger. It's going to allow you to create better visual reads. And it's also going to allow you to create better perspective pieces. In fact, if I take these right now, and what I wanted to do, let me put them up on the top. If I transfer them, flip them back a little bit. Let's flip them horizontally so they go taller to smaller. And then I'm going to scale them down a little bit. Look at how cool they fit in right there, like that. And then if I come back and grab these elements here, Connie, and I'm going to come back and go levels, and I'm going to darken that a little bit more like the other one. There, look at that instant depth that's happening. Boom. Home run hit right there, Connie. Okay, you got a beautiful house, put it in there, get that shoreline in there. Then I love also this cloud line you put in there that graphically divides up the shape really, really well. And then, so one last thing is here, I'm going to go ahead and zoom into that, Connie, and go a little smaller there. So you could take a little bit, you could take a screen grab of it in the video if you want. We'll leave it right there for a second. That's what I would do. I just took parts of your composition, put them together, and I think that works really well and creates a very, very fantastic read. Okay, so excellent work, Connie. Thank you for doing such a great job and spending time and effort bringing all this together. Okay, cool. Let's move forward. And you know what I'm going to do, Connie, just in case, because I've been using this in my other classes. So this has been really handy. Is I'm using Snippet to take images and revisions of your work, and then I can drag and drop it and put it in the chat room, and you can have it instantly. So I know Connie isn't here right now. What I'm going to do, Connie, if you want that, shoot me an email. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this to my desktop really quick. I'm going to call it Connie. And then if you want it, I can reply back to your email, or you can get it from the recording, and then I'll have it there for you.
Just a suggestion. Why don't you just drag and drop it into her Google Drive folder?
I could do that too. In fact, that's a really good suggestion. Let me go back here. I'm in our folders. I'm actually going to go back into March 23rd. And then, Alex, that was a great idea, buddy. I'm going to go right in here. So I'm going to actually, what I should do is, why don't I just save this whole file? with all the layers on it. And then she can go in and mess with it. So real quick, let me save that as Connie in Photoshop here. Save it to my desktop. It's not in any folders. Hit save. Let me minimize real quick. And then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to drag this into Connie's folder. There I put one image uploading, and then I'm going to grab the Photoshop file. The problem with Photoshop, it never puts it where I want it to be. There it is. And I put that in there. All right, Connie, we put those images in there for you so you can go back. The Photoshop file is still uploading right now. It looks like it's going to take a couple more minutes. All right, cool. Excellent. Thanks, guys, for all your help and feedback on that too. All right, let me close that off. All right, Rachel.
Hi.
Hi, Rachel. So, okay. So I love the house in 1. I love the house in 2 because they're the same house. It's just flipped, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's happening in 1 is those pine trees are creating a level of busyness. All right. What I would recommend doing is you can use those pine trees. Also think of some bushes, plants, and other items that could be grouped together that'll allow your piece to have more groupings than tons of stuff stamped everywhere. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I know. I felt the same way. I just I'm so behind, and I wanted to do more of these. I had one more in the first part too, and it was like the opposite of this, where it was just really plain. So and awkwardly composed too. So I think I need to do a few more of these.
So, I mean, the house is beautiful. You've nailed the house down. You're really good. So all you got to do is something like this. Imagine, here, I'm just going to draw on it real lightly. Imagine if we have hold on, let me take the lock off. And then let me add another layer just in case. So imagine if you have like part of the ground that comes out here and lands about here. Then I would treat this as foreground, and then maybe then I would come in here and get these, these trees defined overlapping here. So you have that as 1, and then you have maybe there's bushes, some rocks, a couple of elements in here. Boom, that's now your foreground. Same thing here. I like the stone and the rock there. Just put that together in a grouping like this, then extend your frame a little bit, and then put a tree that's in here. It's going to be that stylized pine tree that then, see, our brain, it allows us to group things together when we see it like that. Then come back in here and then treat this would be your midground. So if you're going to have a midground space that's going to come in there like that, I would sort of do the same thing. Okay, and then come in here, and then now a little bit smaller, you might have another pine tree that's in here grouped. You could have a stack or 2 of rocks. You can have some other bushes and other elements, maybe another little tree that's behind it like that. Now that becomes another grouping, and the same thing here. I had an idea for your piece. Tell me what you think about this. If we were to crop your piece about right here and widen it just a teeny bit. Hold on, Photoshop does that. And if we were to move this, okay, 1 second. Let me, give me a minute. Let me fill it with white here, quick, underneath. So let me switch real quick. Go to G, get off of the gradients, go to bucket. There, let me fill the canvas. Okay, excellent. So if we were to take what we did here, and if we move this over, hold on. There it is. If we put that right over here, give me a minute. Get that whole selection in there. And now if I move that back over here, bring your rocks back with it. Okay, so here's my idea, is that after this is all done, you could bring a waterway, like a lake, coming into like this. And there, do you see that?
Yeah, I like that.
If you did that, you could then incorporate part of the reflection of the house coming onto that water. So
Oh, I see. Okay.
that's why I'm doing that, is the reflection is a golden part of this assignment. So you have a couple options. You could still move the house a little bit over to one direction. Like if we were to grab the house, you wouldn't have to redraw it or anything. If we just took it right here. Actually, I don't want to move it because then it ruins the water line. So actually what I'm thinking about doing is maybe even bringing the water line even more over to like about here. So that way you get this really cool reflection of the house into the water a little bit later. And then the water line really also divides up the composition quite nice, because then you end up having these elements here overlapping in the foreground, and then you have this cool rock and you have that. See, all that overlaps. Then you have a nice good transition to have, like, you can have some little stones in here. They get a little bit smaller. Heck, if you wanted to, you could even on the side here, there could be like a little dock that comes out in your composition right there. That's going to create a little bit more overlap in the piece, right? And so then you can get some really nice transitions of brown into blue happening right here. And then you can, and then after you light it, you could get a really cool shadow and get a nice reflection of that coming down in the water. So I think you have a really good composition there. I'm just trying to separate things into groupings and clumps. Okay.
Yeah, and it was like I start work really early. So this morning when I was at work, I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot foreground, middle ground, background. I was just like mindlessly working through it. So
That's all right. Don't worry. You're fine. You're doing great. It's a beautiful drawing. The one thing you did really well is the trees are really, really cool, and you nailed down the house. So that's a huge part of it. And you created the composition. I just have a fresh set of eyes, so I'm going to look at it and think about moving things. And you can already see between the foreground and the midground, and then what we have even back here, you can even have, like, you could have a mountain range coming up, oops, like this, and then it could drop in and point you back into the house, you know? Even like what you did here with that hill, that's a great idea. You know, you could still get in here and have another hill shape coming in and pointing us back in like that. Because then you can get some really cool trees in the back here. You can get some other bush lines and some other tree lines over there. And that's going to help create a little bit more depth in the piece as well. I mean, you can see it really coming together quite nicely, right? So, yeah, so that's what I'd probably do. This one's cool too, but after doing the foreground, the midground, and the background, by the way, I love this plant. It's a great plant right there. Okay, so you could use that back in this one, but I think this has the majority of your answers in it already. Okay.
Okay, well, that's good. I'm glad I could just kind of take that and roll into the next stage of the
Yeah,
project.
just take it and roll in, and I'm going to snip it for you right there. And then I'm going to save it real quick, and I'll put it in the chat room and you can download it. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, cool. My pleasure. All right. And let me come in here. Let's say Rach, and let me hit save, and I'll close that. Let me minimize this. And there's Connie's, which we don't need. My desktop's getting dirty. I have too much stuff on my desktop. Where's Rach? Where'd I put it? Where'd it go? Saved it somewhere. You guys probably have faster eyes than mine.
I don't know how you function with your desktop like this, Phil. I don't know how you do it.
It gets busy in like a week. I don't know. It just gets like busy. And then I have all these things that I don't want to get rid of. I have like demos over here. I got letters.
I have no room to talk. I'm
over here.
worse than you, Phil.
I mean, I'm pretty good where I'll start selecting items and I start deleting them and dragging them in the folder, you know, but I have, you know, it's just so I have the worst luck sometimes where like I was putting stuff up for the perspective class on how to draw heads, hands, and feet. And I already put this stuff up, but I'm like, my luck, I'll turn around and this will not upload right. And then I'll delete all the files and they're gone. You know what I mean? So anyway, I did get those uploaded already. So now I can move those into the trash and get rid of those. Cool. And
Thank you.
that was from Joy. Oh, my pleasure. Did you get it? Cool. All right. Excellent. So let's keep moving ahead. And I'm really becoming a fan of that snippet tool. It's quick and easy, and then you have it and you can just make changes based off of it. So I think you'll be happy with your piece. So your next goal would then be to sort of do a quick line drawing and then to go in and start blocking in the colors. Okay.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, sure, my pleasure. All right, Mr. Josh.
Hey, Phil.
Looks good, Josh. Nice piece. Nice piece. It's reading well.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to get my line art in.
Yeah, I think that's looking good. I have one comment. There's a mountain range. There's mountains behind it with a waterfall, right?
Yeah, I haven't finished the back there.
Okay. When water hits and it does that poofing effect,
Uh-huh.
sometimes it could be a little like over the top, if you know what I mean. Go look at some pieces and see how people treated waterfalls in their piece.
Yeah.
You might just have the water coming and show a little indication of it hitting the ground, but not like Niagara Falls where it's bouncing everywhere.
Okay.
So the line work is outstanding. It's so nice. You can zoom in here and you get lots of little details in there. So the house looks really good. And yeah, I think it'll be a good little piece. So I would get that. And the one thing I did notice is when I looked at it, there's a little bit of a straight line going across there, but you said you weren't finished with it. And that's literally as easy as, you could have, heck, if you had another mountain range that came back in here, and then maybe there was another mountain that tied in here somehow, and then there was maybe something in the back that maybe came down a little bit. I just want to keep us pointing towards the house a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, you could have that. In fact, you could even come in here and put a tree line and then put little tree shapes in the back up there too. Because, waterways always have trees around them because trees are feeding off that water, right? And then some of these could even be a little bit thicker and whatnot. And you could still get away with having, like if that came down, you can still have a mountainous shape up here, and that could even still come down and point you back to your house a little bit like that. Okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, good stuff, Josh. Looks really nice. And yeah, that's it. I was just looking at the fishing line. I love the little props here. Just wanted to comment on those. I think those are a nice little addition that you put there. Okay. All right,
Cool.
good stuff,
That's it.
dude. Can't wait to see the block in and see you getting those colors in there. Keep it dark to light. Don't put any, just get the block in done first. And then if you want to do the block in, and then if you want to start adding some light and darks, you can do that do it on a separate piece so we can see the difference. Okay.
Okay, will do.
All right, nice.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, next over here, got Jahida.
Hello, Phil.
Hi, Jahida. I think this is looking really cool. It's coming together very nice. The only comment I would give you would be when you get back here in these background colors, look at where they are right now. They're sort of in the middle, but it's in the very background. I would get these colors to be up maybe a little softer.
Okay.
Just be careful of what's behind here, because even back here, look, that gets a little darker. See that? That's still a little darker right there. We want that darkness to be in our foreground, transitioning through here and then getting a little bit lighter as we come out to here. Now, you do have it surrounded. That could change if you had light coming down, hitting the house, then it could get light immediately. But
That's what I was planning to do, is have some light coming in through the trees and hitting the house directly, having a direct stream of light going through.
yeah, and I see that. And I think that's where you're going to end up being very successful, is I could have that feel, I could sense the light sort of coming in through here.
Yeah, exactly.
But when it does that, I know that would lighten down this and lighten down that too. I just want to encourage you, just be careful. Like I noticed, I get to sense it by looking at it. That's in that lower segment. That can be a little bit light in the midground. That should maybe be up about here.
Okay.
And then when you get to that background, even if you lighten it a little bit softer, then when you get the light coming in here, it'll just really get the house to turn quite nicely and easily with the shadow. And I think it'll be very cool. Okay. But really nice set of blues. The colors read very well. They're very fantastic. I really like these sort of cool little dot effects you did here on the trees and stuff. All that's coming together. But remember, an atmosphere that's going to be much further behind. It's exposed to light. It's going to start to get very soft back there.
Yeah, one question I was going to ask, because I've been trying to do some like landscape studies, just trying to, get my painting skills up a bit. But one thing I noticed is, I know this is maybe a little bit more advanced atmospheric perspective, but about how sometimes obviously things that the color will dilute a little bit the further it goes back to the horizon line.
Uh-huh.
But what about like if you have, for example, like a dark mountain that's like a dark color, how do you represent like a dark color or dark shape further back?
So
You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely, I know what you mean. So when you get to a higher level of painting and composition, you
Mm-hmm.
can start playing with shadowed mountains and areas again. So what you can do in this class, I follow that rule of atmosphere because that's what 90% of the work is that's out there. When you get
Yeah.
to a higher level of painting, I think someone who's really good at that would probably be like Edgar Payne. So
Yeah.
let me show
I've
you
been
really
doing some
quick.
studies.
Yeah, what he'll do is he'll make the midground the darkest part of the composition. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason why he's doing that is because that's going to be the focal point. So he'll put a whole mountain in the midground, make it darker because it's in shadow.
Right.
And that he's really good at doing that, but he's also really good at keeping things in atmospheric perspective too. So to me, that's a great example of like advanced composing, and thinking of like here's a good example. Here's a good example right here. So what he did on this piece here, let me drag it so we can look at it full screen. And by the way, this would be, oh, I hate it when it does this. I want the image. Hold on. I gotta save it. Save image as. Why does
Up
it,
there.
sometimes it does this, it doesn't allow me, hold on, let me come back to that site real quick. I want to get back. Exactly. Let me go do it through, 1 second. Where'd the window go? There it is. Aha, now I got it. Now I can drag the image off. Okay, cool. So if I grab this image and there, and we look at it much larger, perfect. So when you're looking at this, so that's a good example. What he's doing here is he's made this is now darker than part of the foreground is. And what he's doing is he's putting that into shadow. So you can do that. There are some, when you get to a higher level of composition, you start making the parts of the midground or part of the background could be darker because it could be an area of shadow with certain highlights, and you're changing the focal reads. So as you get more advanced, that's something that's very fun to do. And you can do that actually in a tonal stage. So if you go look at, if I go back up here, and he does it sometimes like he did it there. He's doing it here with the shadow of the mountain range becomes quite richer and a lot darker. Look at this one. He has a really dark shadow more in the midground, creating more contrast back there. Back in here, he's getting a very dark back there. So he, it's cool to see a painter doing that and pulling, taking advantage of it. Now, if you go into Pinterest real quick, and if we come back and if we look up tonal comps environments, you'll see some artists starting to do that are a little bit more advanced. They're going to start to leave, like here might be a good example. They're going to start to leave the traditional dark to light transition of atmospheric perspective, and then they're going to punch up something in the midground only. Like here. I mean, look at that rock, how dark it is. You can do that because technically light's coming down. This is in a shadow area, and he's going to define that as the main visual read. So when you get a little bit more advanced, you can start pulling some of this stuff off and making it work. However, though, it can also be a double-edged sword because you can see here, this piece is actually flattening because the black here is the same value as what's there. So it'd be better if you lightened the foreground and made the midground a little bit darker. But that's something that it really is a little bit more advanced, and it's something that you can start doing. It's actually the best way to do this is working with just tonal outlays and outlines, and you just create the biggest area of contrast really quick in the middle, and then anything behind it, in front of it, has to be secondary in terms of values to that contrast area. Okay.
So it's dependent upon where the focal point's going to be, say if it's in the midground, and also the interaction where the light is going to hit. So if the midground is going to be in direct light, it makes
Yes.
sense for it to have the most extreme contrast in that area.
Absolutely. That's it. And it's the light and shadow. So if that light hits
Right.
there, the shadow behind it would then make that the biggest area of contrast. So then you can have things in the foreground become much lighter.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
think
'cause
about it, things in the foreground could be maybe lightly covered, exposed to more light. They're going to be a little bit lighter. It's another way to push paintings a little bit and to come up with some different visual reads. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because I've been doing some Edgar Payne studies, doing kind of simple block-ins. And obviously, like when you look at his paintings, obviously it works and it looks gorgeous. And then you're like, okay, but then why does it work?
Why
And that's
did it?
kind
Yeah.
of, yeah.
I know. And he does some things where he changes. I mean, the other thing he's doing too, looking at this, which you'll notice, he'll put like pure color, pure chroma. He'll throw it in there. It's right here. It's a really bright, really look at that orange. There's no shadow. That thing just pops. You're not going to see a lot of that here. You only see it on the highlight tip just real quick. So that's another little like painting secret. There's a book by an artist, who let me bring back the Pinterest window really quick. Probably my opinion, one of the best all-time painting books is by Richard Schmidt. Okay.
Oh, I just got the book. I just got
you?
it a couple days ago.
Yeah, it's one of the best books that's out there. So if we would take a look at Richard Smith's landscape paintings and you go into some of these, this guy's just a genius. I mean, he's a model. I mean, look at how light it is in the foreground and then look at how dark it is in the back. So when painting, we transition a little bit because now we really have to keep the contrast on the focal point. But they're not always concerned about foreground, midground, and background. So if you go in and start looking at the way that this guy paints and the way, look at that. He's right there. That painting's like, yeah, I know my perspective. I'll do the perspective of a tree with a radial shadow, absolutely. That's a beautiful piece, but look, it's much lighter in the foreground and darker in the background. So again, that's happening because of where the light is and where the shadows are, So yeah, that's probably my favorite book to go through is that Richard Schmidt book. I mean, he's just, especially when he paints human figures and he totally knows what he's doing, and
It's beautiful.
These beautiful little sketches like this, So yeah. So eventually over time, the more that you paint, what I like to do though, is I'm trying to keep you guys locked in.
Yeah.
This other approach, because I feel I'm all about getting you to hit home runs. If you hit a couple home runs first and you build up confidence, then later on you could get into some more advanced color renditions and schemes and paintings,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm
sorry if I'm jumping ahead. I just wanted to.
Oh, you're not jumping ahead at all. Those are good questions. And everyone, a ton of people out in the class just learned about Richard Schmidt and they learned about, separating out and doing values and other pretenses. And a great way to really learn that is doing little tonal comps. Go out and take your computer, just use the lasso tool, do little tonal comps and have the midground be the biggest area of contrast. It's a lot of fun. You start to fall in love with it. It's so much fun, It's just a great way to work. Okay, cool. Nice work, Jada. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, my pleasure. All right, next over here we have who's RSS?
Oh, hi. It's River.
Oh, River. Hi, River.
Hi.
Okay. Hi. All right, it's looking really good. You got some really good transitions happening in there. What I would recommend, I love these little yellows you have here, but I might just wait until you get the house done first, then come back and put those on. Okay.
Okay.
Because those highlights are so bright. Look at it. You're like a pure yellow right there, which they're beautiful. But get the house to pop first, and then we'll tie in the value of those with the house. And what's really cool, since you have those so close to us, you can even end up having like a little field in the back here. So having those there, then you can have a couple on the side of the house, like one or two over here. You can have a couple hanging off the edge there, and then they can sort of work in unison together. Your trees are gorgeous right here in the bushes. I love that style. They're a lot of fun. I might darken these just a teeny bit so they pop out a little bit more. I love the rocks. Everything you're doing on this is fantastic. I just was going to say, start, what are you imagining for the direction of the light coming from, left or right?
Mm, Actually, from the right, I think, just so the front of the house gets the
Yeah,
light.
I think I agree with you because I was going to suggest if the light's coming this way, you have more exposed planes to get hit by the light, and then you can have a shadow come back behind it like that. And that would be quite nice. And then you're still going to be able to get that reflection coming in the water. So yeah, I think it's a really good piece. You've done a really great job on it. Keep going in the direction you're going. You can start now painting in some of the light hitting the house and then lose the line. Focus on getting that house nailed in first, then we can come back and build up the other stuff around it. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, really great work, River. It's absolutely gorgeous. Love it. Okay, very nice. Looks like you're having fun, right?
Yeah, I'm having fun. I never really work with such stylized or abstractness, so
It's cool, isn't it?
yeah.
Because it still holds the values and the colors together. It just comes together quite nicely. Hey guys, do you mind if I take a quick 5-minute break real quick?
Sure.
I'm going to go to the restroom real quick, and then I need to let my dogs are scratching on my door, so I'm going to go let them outside real quick. So let's just take a quick. I need to do that in my classes too. Let's take a quick 5-minute break. I'll be back in just a second here. So I'm just going to pause the recorder real quick, and I'll be right back. Resume recording. Let's begin here. Haley,
Hello.
you're not supposed to finish the thing already.
It's not finished.
I know, I'm just kidding. No, it's looking really, really great. So you're on your way. The color's looking really cool. I like everything that you're doing. However, though, let me show you this. You ready? Let me come in here and just, I want to show you. Okay, so, oh, I got it now. So let me show you. I see it. I didn't see it at first. Looking really nice. By the way, I know I've been so busy this semester with emails. Let me know what's a good time to meet when you want to have that meeting, okay?
Okay.
I'll be around over spring break. I can't do much right now. So I'm a little bummed, guys. I usually get to go out and go camping. I get to go to our little river place and hang out and do some paintings on the river, some little plein air studies. And I can't do anything because my transmission just went out on my truck.
Oh,
That sucks.
Oh, it double sucks. Because now, guess what a new transmission for my truck costs? $4,500 to $5,800.
Yep.
So, but I'm working with Toyota, waiting to hear back from them, keeping my fingers crossed because I discovered something that was somewhat interesting to me, which is that they knew about when I bought my truck, they knew that there's a problem with the transmissions and they never told me about it, If you make those a little bit richer like that, it will end up, hold on. Let me get this guy in here too. Why is it not going to plus? Oh, hold on. There I have the selection. But in all fair and honesty, though, I had this truck for so long and it did so well. I would buy another Toyota without even blinking. It's been a great vehicle. Okay. If you end up darkening these a little bit more like that in the foreground, it'll make the part of the piece in the back pop a little bit more. Okay?
Yeah, that's what I was working on. I was getting all the layers and just adjusting them to pop out more and help with the perspective.
Yeah, because once you get, and then you come back and take these and then pop these a little bit more too. There, now we're creating some really cool depth in there. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
So excellent. So yeah, everything you did with the house looks really fantastic. Everything in the background is starting to look really cool. In fact, let me just do one more last thing. I just want to come back in here. That house is, you were having a lot of fun, weren't you?
Yes.
You tell that house just has a really great quality to it, and the reed is coming out quite nice. I would recommend, if you can, try to keep some of this stuff in the back here a little bit. Whoa, hold on. A little bit softer and lighter like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just started to do that, but I ran out of time this morning.
Yeah, I'm probably doing all the things you're already thinking of. You know what I mean? So I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I have a big plan. I have to add a couple more trees
I'm
and
sorry
stuff.
to be Father Phil on you right now. You know, I'm like in here telling you this is what you need to do: clean your room and fix your painting, right? So, yeah. Uh-oh. Hold on a minute. It's on the wrong layer. And then with the sky, not only was I wanting to lighten it up a little bit, then I was just curious if we put a little bit of yellow in the shadow areas because of, hold on, let me get a little bit there, maybe a little bit of red on there. And then let me come back up to the midtones, just do the same thing. See, you have that sort of those yellows in there a little bit, will help pop a little bit with that purple of the house. A little bit like that, a little bit warmer, right?
Yeah.
Then let me come back here. And then in your foreground stuff here, let me just do this real quick. Let's select that guy. And let's select that guy. That's on a different layer. And if I have that, and then I come back into balance, and I get a little bit more shadow bluish in there. Ah, you see how cool that's going to start to look?
Yeah.
That you have that warm in the back against that cool in the front. It's going to turn out to be quite a magnificent little piece right there. In fact, look at that. We go zoom out of it and look at, and here, let me just, since I had everything here on top, boom. And I know that's the direction you were going. I just couldn't resist, and I had to dive into it a little bit more because it's going to be such a fun piece. And then here's the best part coming up that we'll get to do that I can't wait. And then I'll just go ahead and show you guys this really fast. You have these really cool tools to use in Photoshop. So if we take that house and we paste that house, I'm going to put it up on the top here, transform it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it vertically like this. And then we're going to drop it right down here, which is where that reflection would be. Okay. So first thing that happens in a reflection is that we lose opacity in part of the reflection. So if we start to dull down that opacity, it starts to work really well. The next thing that happens is we have this ability to come over here, and you could take, now hold on, let me duplicate this. I'm going to add that little highlight there. And what we can do, let me show you guys real quick, since we're happening to see already the magic that happens in there with the reflection. That's why I'm trying to get your houses right by a waterway. The second thing we can do is we come under the filter gallery here and we bring that up. Uh-oh. Let me try it again. Filter gallery. Okay, then we have this really cool filter that makes it look like you are looking at the house through like a blurred surface. Hold on a minute, let me find it. It's, where is it? Spatter right there. Spatter can be pretty good. Sprayed strokes can be pretty good like that. It's just a quick little read. Hold on, there used to be another one. No, not diffused glow. Sprayed strokes isn't bad. Underpaint. Yeah, underpaint's pretty good too. I'm going to go with sprayed strokes right now. Let me see what else. I thought there was another one. Not the sketch. That's black and white. Maybe texture. Yeah, the crackler. No, that's more for ground. You have there, you have sort of this, not mosaic. Not that one. Okay, I'm going to go back up and stick with that, the first one that we had, which was the sprayed strokes. I think that's pretty good. So see how it blurs it just a little bit? Okay. Then this is the double combo, like a boxing punch. Two punches that are going to hit next. The next thing that we do is we're going to have a small highlight with a shadow that indicates water movement with a blur. Okay, so what we're going to do really quick here, let me add a couple layers on here. And this way I'm helping to show you guys how to do this in your piece by using Haley's right now as an example. So the first one, I'm going to put water. I'm going to put high on here. Okay, and I'm going to put another layer underneath. And we're going to call that water shadow. All right. And then hold on a minute. And then that's the reflection. Okay. So this is sort of how it works. I'm going to come over here really quick. We're going to go to water highlight. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to pick something pretty close to this. So that color right there. Oh, my Photoshop color picker stopped working again. You see that? Oh, it's so frustrating. Just want to call Photoshop and give them a mouthful. So I'm going to go ahead and just come into a little bit of a bright highlight about there. So what I'm going to do really quick is this. On the water highlight, on the brushes that I gave you guys. Okay, let me get this position where I want it. See, I'm having all these issues again. Photoshop is getting super buggy. That's pretty good right there. So in the brushes that I have, that brush right here, this 25, this dark to light, is absolutely wonderful for water highlights. So what you can do is we can even try it a little bit. If you come in here and do a little wisping curve like that, but if I go a little bit smaller with it, and if I go like this, if I just pretend I see a little bit of a flow of water in the back here, maybe the water comes. Now, I can't really see it much because I haven't put part of the shadow in there yet. So if I come under that shadow layer next, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go with something along that value, but a little bit more on the bluish side like that. And then I'm going to take my fuzzy brush and we're going to take that and come back. And if I drop down fuzzy to about 10% very lightly, and then I sort of come under there, see, it helps. That highlight will pop out immediately. Do you see that? And I get a little bit of that haze in there of where the highlight might be. And water always has natural gradations to it anyway. Then the last thing that we want to do is when you're ready to, you can keep the highlight sort of separate, but you can merge the shadow and the reflection together. And then we're going to come back to our wonderful little smudge. Okay, let me see if, there it is. And then if we come in here and then we want to sort of, let me see what happens if I'm at about 20%, what it does. So it's going to lightly sort of smudge it a little. These ends will start to get a little bit more lost, and it'll help give you a little bit of that water sort of feel as it fades off there. It just blends it in very lightly. And then we zoom back out, you start to get this really cool looking water reflection. Now there's another smudge brush. I don't know if it was scratchy or maybe it was just as water that'll allow you to contort the image a little bit. But another way to contort the image, because there's water reflections, is to just go to transform, come over here and we go to warp. And if you go to warp, you just pick out one little area and you can, sometimes you can bend it a little bit. And it'll give you that feel that it's starting to go with the flow of the water. What I like to do is try it maybe like one little area, like right in there where the water might be rippling. I'll go to transform and then I'll come back up here to warp. And then I'll sort of see, I lightly distort that area in a little bit. I might pull, I'll leave the ends on there. Maybe I pull it out a little bit there. Maybe I pull this guy in a little bit. And the same thing about right there. Voila. And if I hit deselect, you see how now the house is going with the ripples of the water. And I created that little bend. That's it. That'll give you that feel that we are in water, and it'll add so much more to your piece. Then when you're sort of done with that, then you could come back over here and you could you can come in here and darken a little bit of the shoreline. So shorelines tend to be a little bit darker of a transition, where it's usually like a soft sand or something that's in there. And what you can do, you could almost just take levels. Here, let me just come into here. How should I do this? I have all those on levels. That's, you know what? I think I need to merge them all together to get them together. So if I do that, copy, paste, and then I'm going to just go into levels really quick, and I'm going to darken that shoreline.
Oh, Phil, I have a question about like this.
Yeah.
So do you add like the background too to that reflection, or is the house just like a style choice?
No, it'll pick up a little bit. I do part of the shoreline next.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so that would be the next. So hold on a minute here. Let me get that. Let me go back here. I think I lost my selection in there.
Okay. So
Yeah.
is it better to do it in like chunks than just like the whole thing at once for the reflection?
I like to do it in chunks so that way I can control the focus on the house a little bit better. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So then what I do is I'll start to darken this a little bit, like part of the, hold on a minute. Why am I missing? That's why I just need to merge the whole thing together. So now I'll go to levels. I'll darken the shoreline just a little bit to create that contrast in there, just like so. And then I might come back in. And that was a really good, who asked that question, by the way? Was that?
Oh, it's me, Giselle.
Oh, hi, Giselle. No, that's a great question. Then what I'll do is I'll come back in and take some of this because I want to have, it's all about having that control. And then I'll take that, copy, paste, transform. We'll flip it vertically. I'll get it where I want it. And the cool thing is, since I already darkened the shore, when I come in here and drop the opacity down, the darkened shore will pick up sort of right under it. You see that? And that's why I prefer to do it a little bit separate like that. Then come in here and erase the part that we're not going to be seeing. And then I would do the same thing with that layer. I would come back in, run it through a filter, or lightly blur that a little bit, and then you'll have that cool little bounce. And then you can still, now that it's a little darker, you can still come back in here really light and get another cool little water highlight. Now for water highlights, I think I gave you guys my brushes. I do have these really cool natural water highlights that are pretty neat. They're very addictive because you could come in here with a pure white and do this. Oops, it didn't. Oh, that helps if I'm not on a blue. And you can also use them for shadows too. Let me go back to white. So I could take this little water highlight here. Here, let me get it one more time to turn there. I want to get it right about there. Let me see, 100% there. So there's a water highlight. Now, you need to transform the highlight into perspective. Okay, so it's not in perspective right now. So if I grab part of that water highlight, go to transform, first thing I prefer distort because I can grab the back end of it. See, I can get it where I want it to be. And then I can contort this down a little bit. And I can get just a little bit. I can even stretch it out a little bit too if I want. You can warp it as well. And see, now that it's in perspective, I can get that little water highlight to fit in there quite nicely and just get it where I want it to be. I still would come back to this layer and I would probably take my smudge brush really quick and I'm gonna lightly, hold on, that's not it. Smudge.
Hey,
I'm
Phil,
gonna
can I
go
ask
back
a
to
question
that.
too?
I'm sorry?
Can I ask a question too?
Oh, it's $5. No, I'm just kidding. What's the question?
Now, would you distort the reflection of like the car and the house and stuff in the reflection, like to go along with the perspective? Like, would it shrink or grow as it gets closer to you, or are you just leaving it the same?
It's usually with the reflection. It's a mirror copy based off of where the ground hits it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why you just select it, transform, and flip it, and then leave it. You know.
Okay.
Like that. And let me try. I have this other. This could be really cool too. The smudge nice because it could pick up. It could get like the water rake. See, it could smudge the ends a little bit more of that car. So whatever you do, the reason why I did it separate is I want the car to be secondary to the house because depending on the car or trees around it, it could pull away from the house. So by having this now, hold on a minute. By having this being on a separate layer, I can do that by adjusting the opacity. I can mess with it in color balance. I can do 10 different things now. That's why I prefer to do it separate than just grab the whole entire area and put it in there. But I mean, look at how wonderful that piece is turning out just with those couple little adjustments. You know, we adjusted a little bit of the sky color in there, and then Haley still gets to come in here, and it's probably eating her up to put the little highlights of yellow on the ground and other little places. And you can do that really nice with like a nice texture brush. Okay. So Haley, it's going to be a wonderful piece. Thanks for letting me add a little bit more to it to sort of show everybody, because this allowed me to give them a little bit more information on what we're going to do next. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Beautiful. Do you want a copy of that? You want me to save it?
Yes,
Here.
please.
let me save it real quick and I'll drop it in the back for you. Okay. So let
Okay.
me go to desktop and I'm going to save that and I'll put, I know you put color block, I'll put fill on it and then I'll save it on the desktop and I'm going to come back right over here and let me grab it real quick and I'll drag and drop it. And let me come back to March 23rd. Let me find your name. Oh, you didn't have a folder in there. Oh, and I noticed you had a couple other versions too. I hope I didn't change anything. So give me 1 second. There it is. I'm going to just go ahead and drag it right inside the drive. It's uploading right now. Okay.
Okay.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
And
the
I
other
think,
image was just a mountain instead of the trees.
why am I
I
not?
didn't like it as much, so I quickly made a second version and
Oh, you
uploaded
did?
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I think the trees are pretty cool. Yeah, I get what you're saying there. That makes sense. So yeah, it's going to be a great piece. Thanks for letting me work on it. And actually, if you guys don't mind, I might put this video up on YouTube too, just to show
Ooh.
people what we're doing, you know, and it also helps promote your name as artists too. And I'm starting to do that because I'm trying to promote some of our classes a little bit more online. So Haley, beautiful piece. I can't wait to see it develop a little bit more. It's going to be fantastic. Okay.
Okay.
All
Thank
right,
you.
cool. Thank you very much. All right, and let me close that one down. Okay, now we're on Mr. Eric, Mr. Whitesoul.
Hello.
Hi, Eric. That's looking really good.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it so far. It's like quarter of the way there, but it's coming.
Yeah, it is coming across quite nicely. Your light's coming from the left, looking at the shadows on the plane, right?
Right.
The one thing you might have to battle, my eye went right to that plane right now.
It's pretty bright.
Yeah, but that's okay. It's a white plane, right?
Yeah.
It could be, I mean, it is white, so it's going to pop out a little bit more. Another thing that you could do is if I come down here, this is something I learned once from watching, studying a little bit more about light and what it does. When objects are sitting on top of other reflective surfaces,
Are you gonna do the bounce light?
well, I'm just going to put a little bit of more. If I just come here, let me copy and paste it first. So it's sitting up there. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go into color balance and even on the midtone, I'm just going to put a little bit more blue into it like that. You see that?
Okay.
Because the light's going to bounce, that water is blue. The light's going to hit that water, bounce back, and it's going to put a bluish tint on that plane very quickly.
Because
Okay.
I hit it with like a little bit of a blue highlight, like on the underside of the wings, just to like reflect the light off of that. But I like how it looks with the whole thing a little bit more blue.
Yeah, and if I just even just very slightly adjust the shadows a teeny bit more, I actually learned this once from going and painting boats at like a marina. I would see the reflection of the water coming up, and the bottom of the boat that was white had a bluish tint on the hull, and that was the water, you know, the blue of the water reflecting back with the light, creating that look and feel. So, and the other thing that it does is by bluing it down, it anchors it a little bit into the water, and it now is going to allow you to pop the house a little bit more. Okay. Now, what I would recommend on the house would be this. I know you did it as like a simple little house.
That simple little house is like 30 layers.
A 30 layer simple house, right? All right.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute. I hate the new controls in Photoshop. Why do they have to mess with it? If we can find a way to make this a little bit more house right here, that'll become a little bit more of the dominant read. You know what I mean?
Okay. I was thinking of also adding some like maybe like a flag or a windsock or something on top of it, like something taller with some sort of bright color on it to like pull your eye back down.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the other reason why I wanted to do this is I wanted to that hay you had there was getting pretty dominant.
Yeah, it's gonna break.
Yeah, so if we do this, and then if I come in here, hold on a minute, let me get that a little bit darker. That's sort of get to that value that's there.
Now it looks like 2 rental cabins.
No, hold on, I'm not even done yet. I wanted to take this now. Hold on. You're gonna be like, no. and I wanted to put that back behind the original paste. Let me see if I can get it and make it like a small little cornice thing in the middle or something like that, you know?
Okay.
Hold on, let me show you. Let me bring that color down. See how nice and attractive that house is now? Because
That's more than I can afford now.
I know, right? It becomes more of the dominant read to the piece, you know?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, just like chunk it up a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, if I zoom out now, look at the difference. Here, let's just come back,
Yeah.
merge those layers together. So what we did before, the plane was almost a little bit larger than the house. Now the
That's
house
true.
is larger, the plane anchors down a little bit more into the watercolor, and then we're getting more of a focal read on the house. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
the other thing is we lightened down the bushes in the back there. So that was pivotal too, by us doing that. Okay. So
That's an
yeah.
easy fix.
So that's what I would suggest. And then all the other values are feeling pretty cool. I would eventually suggest don't go too dark with this value here in the foreground because we don't want it to flatten. I might bring a little bit of a earthy earth tone green or brown burnt umbre into it. Maybe you could have a little bit of both. And then also you could take advantage of on this dock. If that was raised a little bit, you could have a couple packages here, like something's going to be delivered. You could have a little bit of a rope that comes down and it points like back to the house a little bit like that, you know,
Good idea.
or something.
Yeah.
So having a couple little boxes or little elements up there, and not only you could even have the boxes here, then you could have another stylized plant on this that's pointing us back into the house right there. You know, it's telling us to look. So I sort of actually like the plan idea with the boxes and, you know, something else on there. Okay.
With the whole thing that you're saying, Phil, with the boxes, that would imply someone like is bringing stuff to them. And if that's the case, then you could put like a sign, like almost like a mailbox type thing or something on the left hill in the foreground.
Yeah.
That points back at the house as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You could get quite a few. Okay, and then the last little thing, the last little comment I want to give you. Let me try to do this really quick. I'm going to change. I want you to put a little bit more when you get into skies. Skies. I learned this from a guy named Chuck Vollmer, who is a guy I worked with at Big Idea, who was a Disney painter. And he taught me this really valuable lesson about skies that I've never forgotten. People sometimes go to like a blue very quickly, and there's a very light, I don't even know what hold on, I don't even know what the color is exactly. So if I take this, hold on, let me copy and paste it there, and let me try this really quick. It's like a cerulean light blue. So if I go into color balance, and let me see if I can get that pulled off a little bit more. Let me get some highlights. I don't want to go too much there. That's okay. And then let me go to brush, and let me swab that color. You're actually very close to it.
It's my natural artistic talent.
There you go. All right.
I finally found it.
And if you get this sort of, oops, hold on. I had it selected. I lost the selection.
You just alpha lock it maybe.
Yeah. Let me see. And if you lighten this up just a little bit, it'll make it recede back a little bit more.
Okay, so it's not as overbearing.
Exactly. And it tends to have this really light sort of gradient feel coming up over the mountains too. So if you get that in there, let me just click off the difference. You see the difference?
Oh, wow.
So it started getting a little rich up there. And if we get that very light sort of cerulean blue in the sky and allow that gradient to happen, actually I want to swab that color that you have. That's a good color. But then I just want to put that on a little bit lighter up on the top like this to change there. So it's a little softer. So look at the difference. See,
that's way nicer.
it makes it a little bit more airier, if that's such a word, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Not as
So
boxed in.
I think that's a couple of the adjustments that I would do. I think it's looking great, you know? Do you want me to save it and put it in Google Drive for you?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay. Cool. All right. Thank you, sir. Nicely done. Eric.
Appreciate it.
And then I'll put the dash fill on it and I'll save it to desktop. Hit save real quick. Let me minimize this. And let me grab it real quick. There was Haley's. Let me move that out. There's Eric's. And I'm just going to drag it and put it. I just put it in your folder. Okay. Cool.
Thank you, Phil.
All right. My pleasure. Good work, sir. Very nicely done.
Thank you.
All right. Carrie.
Hi, as you can see, I'm having fun with the color palettes.
I can tell you are. It's like we're at a tie-dye shop in the Bay Area. You know what I mean? Those are cool colors. They're very vibrant. They're a lot of fun. So when you end up picking one of those, because you have some cool, you have fall colors, you have some spring colors, you got some winter colors in there. They're really nice. What I would recommend is also quickly separate out foreground, midground, and background by using the lasso tool and applying dark and light gradients in there. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I did the lasso tool thing for the grayscale. I just didn't do any of the gradient yet.
Okay, yeah, because like some of this area back here, it gets really rich, and we want that to end up being a little bit more on the lighter side like that. You see what just happened? I mean,
yeah,
just adjusting that to there, and then if we come back from there, and then you take what you have like here in the foreground, like this, and this is what I love about just levels. It's so easy once you block in colors, and then we make that a little richer. Look at that difference, how that changed that whole entire color read right there, you know?
yeah, I like that. Cool, thank you.
Yeah, sure. So just because I love the colors that you have, my only concern is I could tell by looking at them, like they're a little blown out. They're like super, super bright in there. So all we got to do, it's just really simple. You know, we add a little bit more white to what's in the back. And then, you know, and if you do that, that'll just give you a little bit, that read changes it instantly in there. So just apply that to part of your, and then pick the one that you like and then go in there. And remember, if you light it, for example, did you have any water in your piece?
Yeah, the like pathway that's river.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's always an easy adjustment to add it in. So remember, if you go warms, you can then have, or if you have that warm palette, then you have the water can be cool with a little bit of a warm tint to it. But then if there's shadows hitting the water, those can also be a little bit more on the colder side. It allows you to create some really nice popping. What I would recommend is before you go into picking any of these color palettes, paint the house in the way you imagine the house first and get the house painted, then come back and build up the rest of the composition and the color around the house.
Okay.
Because your house is your focal point. So if you take even that approach in the color aspect, it'll make it, you'll be a little bit more successful in that, you know, final approach. Any of those color schemes down there would work. I mean, this actually reminds me, one of my favorite things to do is I go up here to Kern County in Los Angeles and I go up and go trout fishing. I go there sometimes in the winter. I usually go there in the summertime. This just totally reminds me, this is this one on the right here with the greens. That's like probably April, May for Kern County. And this totally reminds me of like spring morning. And this reminds me of sort of the winter time, the color changes. So I really like your color comps that you did here. I think they're wonderful. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Next over here, we got Farisa. Farisa, I think that composition is working a whole lot better. I think you're ready to go in and start blocking in some colors and ideas there. Okay.
Okay.
The only little comment that I would give in terms of drawing on here or other ideas would be, let me get my drawing brush real quick. If you think about, like, if you have something that comes in, oops, hold on, I'm not 100%. If you have something that comes into here a little bit like this, and then you have some rocks overlapping, maybe some elements here, something here, that allows you to also come in and get like some bush line behind there. It allows you to come in and be able to get some stylized trees behind there like this that bring us back into part of the drawing like this, you know? So having some of these other little elements in a group, having the staging of thinking about the shoreline and how that shoreline then wraps and comes around, you see that? And having those other elements are going to be quite beneficial to you. If this is a large like dirt range or whatever, or dirt foreground element, that's fine. But remember, you can still do some other things. Like, look, I could come in here very efficiently and I can add in, you know, a stylized element or two in the foreground here. This tree that you have here, it's very nice. You could bring that tree in and have it land and sort of growing on part of the ground plane around here like this and come up. I just want to separate the foreground and the midground and the background. This is very nice. Right here, you did a really great job. These plants are beautiful in there. They point us back in the house. If you wanted to, you could add like a cool looking stylized rock right in here. You can have something sort of balanced off in there. And then that you see the change in the composition a little bit?
Yeah.
It starts to balance itself out. It doesn't feel quite as empty. Okay?
Right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure. All right, next over here, I got Brianna.
Hello.
Hi, Brianna. I love that cabin right there.
Which one?
The one on the right. This one up on the top.
Okay, cool.
I think that's cool. I think it's really nice. I like the little cornices on there. It reads well. I think it's great. These are also beautiful too. These little elements you did here and here and here. You can put some of those around there. On your color comp, when you're working, you have a lot of green in there that's very similar. Go grab one of those off of Pinterest or what I showed you guys earlier on Google. Go grab one of those like summer mountain color schemes, and that'll help you block in. Some of this area back here could be a little bit more tan and like dirt-like. Okay. So you can
sounds good.
adjust those values as you go back. All right. And
I was
work
gonna
on
go for a swamp-like setting, sort of.
Okay. Cool. Oh, so you want to go swampy? Because all right, that works then. If you go swampy, green, like Louisiana type of.
Yeah, exactly.
Feel. Okay, then that makes sense for the green. Then I thought you're going more cabiny, mountainish. Okay.
No, that's why I did lichen in the front and stuff, because I know in like Georgia they have lichen on their trees and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes more sense. I would consider maybe just very lightly darkening this, and then, oops, wow, my computer's, how did it just do that? I'm not even on yellow. See that? I put a yellow line across my screen. I have no idea why I did that.
It went all the way across, like down into the folder area too.
I'm not even on yellow, which is weird, unless someone's drawing on my computer using, Alex, is that you? Someone did the annotation on Zoom. Anyway, so because I can't clear that off now. Anyway, what I was going to suggest is by keeping this maybe a teeny bit and then lightening that just a little bit so it pops a little bit more. Okay.
Okay, that sounds good. I could have like filtered light coming through and hitting the house too to make it more of a focal point.
Yeah, and your light would probably be better coming down in about that direction as well.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. All right. Good work.
Thank
okay.
you, Phil.
Hey, Phil.
Yeah.
If you have time, I uploaded work late.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'll look at yours. I also have Connor's to look at. But what I was going to do, Connor, hold on a minute. I'm going to pull up yours in a minute at the end. You and I can talk about it. And then, Alex, let me go through yours really quick. Okay. So, Alex, where's your folder? Let me refresh my Google Drive because it'll take a minute. All right, Mr. Alex, where are you? There you are. Let me download it. Yeah, that battle axe was awesome. Someone accidentally drew a yellow line on my computer. Would you knuckleheads please stop drawing on my computer? I know someone's like, oops, I didn't mean to do that, Phil. But I don't know how to clear it.
If it was my chaos, I'd admit to it. You know that, Phil.
I know you would admit to it. Here, I think it's annotate. I go up under annotate, and then I hit clear. I think that should do it. Did it do it? Okay, or it's Zoom just having a heart attack. Zoom has been doing that earlier to us anyway, so hold on. How do okay, clear all drawings. and then close it. There. Okay, good. It did it. Someone's like, what's annotate? Let's draw on Phil's computer. Okay. All right, Sir Alex, let me grab this and let's take a look at your work here. And let's bring this down into here. All right. Cool. Love the house. House is great. House looks awesome, dude. Simple,
Cool.
easy. It reads well. It's good shape language. It's good outline. It's quite fantastic. And then let's dive into here. I'm going to go immediately for, I like number 1 quite a bit right here. I think number 1 fits very well. And then I'm also a little partial to number 4 in the corner right here.
All right.
Okay. Either one of those. They almost look identical. They look like flips. But
I think it's just the house is, I don't actually know. Maybe it's just I have the similar brain.
Yeah, and that's okay. But what I do like is I like these foreground elements here a little bit more, being a little bit larger like that. See that? I took your foreground elements from number 1. I just put them over here. They're a little bit larger. I like the way that they're working, being overlapped like that a little bit. I think they read a little bit easier in the piece. And then
Okay, yeah, I could try that out.
Look, and then you can still fit your other stuff in the back here, no problem. See?
Yeah, I like that because I didn't really have that good of a foreground element.
Yeah, I felt like it was like one tree going vertical. I like the little contrapposta angled tree you put in there. It really helps it quite a bit. Okay.
All right.
Cool.
I'm also gonna do a bit more compositions because I'm not very happy with how these have turned out so far.
Okay. Well, work on that for Wednesday. So just real quick, everyone's homework before I'm going to take roll and let you guys go. And then I'm going to help Connor out really quick. Is I want you to finish the composition and then start blocking in some colors so I can do what I did today on Haley's. Start talking about adjusting the colors or pushing and pulling of the value arrangements and getting the piece ready. So then over spring break next week, you guys can start coloring it and we'll come back and I'll look at your rough pass on color and your attempt at going into your first round of painting. And then I could come back into that and paint on top of those a little bit. Okay. Sound good? Excellent. Thank you, Alex. Okay, real quick. Let me bring up, I need to go do attendance super fast. Giselle, she said 4 is her favorite. Yeah, okay, good, 2. Like the house, and 2 is on the cliff edge. Yeah. But what I like about 4 is, what really caught my eye about this, Alex, is this. You have what I would call a nice, hold on. You have a nice S-curve in there. You see that? Edgar Payne talked about that in composition. It's a nice S-curve that weaves you through the piece. And the other reason why I like that is now you have nice room in here to get a reflection. You also have the ability, if you want, you can even pull down the piece a little bit more like that. And then you can, where this lands here, you can put a landmass here. Where this is coming down, you could have something there. You can have, and I actually probably brought it down too far. I might cap it about there. But then you could have the landmass here. You can see where the shore would go. And then you might be able to have a couple other groupings in front of it that would create that really nice dark to light transition. And that's going to really help frame all of this in your piece, Alex. If you were to pull out the composition just down a little bit to about right here.
All right, I can.
Okay.
I'll
Try that. We'll see what it looks like. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Let me go. Sorry, I was pulling up roll, and then I wanted to get that last idea out. 1 second. And okay, I'm going to go through attendance. And here goes. All right, I'm going to do first name only. I didn't have Connie here, but Naomi was here. I got Leonie. I got Brianna. I got Josh. Was Sochi here today? Sochi? Going once, going twice. Nope. Okay, Alex was here. I got Giselle. Was Brandy here? Yeah. Hi, Brandy. Farisa's here. Chris was here, right? I saw Chris earlier. I saw Raul. I got Jahida. I got, was Elizabeth here?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. I got Rachel, and I got Haley. I got Mark, and I got River, And Connor, you were here, right, buddy? Connor, you here? Okay, Connor's there. Ciro's here. Wait, where did Ciro go? I saw him earlier. He was here. Ciro, you still with us? And then
He is there.
yeah, he's right there working. Thank you, Ciro.
Right here.
He's in the Bay Area working right now with the Golden Gate behind him. Eric was here. Terry's here. Sonia was here, right?
Here.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna hang out for a minute and talk and work with Connor for a second. So thank you guys for getting your work up and doing a good job. I'll meet you back here next Thursday. So remember, have the composition done, block in some colors so we can start looking at it, making some little adjustments. That way I can paint on it, and then you're gonna have the whole week off. During that week off, if you want, I can make myself available like at a certain time, but we need to pick a time next class, and I would be more than happy to meet with you guys on my spring break to assist you in your projects, because I want you to have really positive outcomes in your work. Okay. So remind me next class, we'll talk about that, and we can pick a time that really works. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. I'll see you later.
Bye.
Thank you, Phil. Bye.
Bye, everyone.